out funny? This was meant to be very serious.
The Bible is Funny
podcast?
No, it's not.
It's not coming out funny?
No.
Oh, good. Whew. I thought I'd made a huge mistake. Hi! Welcome! We're back!
Good. We never left. We don't leave this space.
We don't leave this space.
We sleep here, eat here. We do our dishes here.
Do our dishes here.
We fall
in love. Just life stuff. Welcome, family.
Good to have you back.
We're here on the Bible is Funny podcast, doing what we do best. Reading the Bible.
Sadly, this is what we're best at.
This is our best skill. It's our most marketable skill.
That says a lot about all the other things we do. You slurp your drink better than anybody else I know.
Best in the biz. Housekeeping stuff before we get into it. Gotta do it.
Okay, but you don't need to yell at me.
This is an announcement.
Yeah.
Apologize, listeners. Gotta do it. Pays the bills. Today's episode is brought to you by the company that puts on your local carnival. Cool. We roll into your town. These days, everyone's all safety this and background check that and wear gloves while you handle food. But here at the company putting on your local carnival, we take you back to a simpler time. But don't you worry. We've kept up to date with the things that matter, like inflation prices. So come on out. Grab a funnel cake. You'll make some memories, and you'll make it home safe. Probably. Appreciate the company that puts on your local carnival for bringing you this episode today.
I didn't even know they needed the advertising.
They're doing so well. They're doing so well.
Some would say they started the inflation thing. It's $45. Here's 2 tokens. Go throw a ring around that soda bottle.
They're definitely in the category, too, of the weird math of like, what does it take to go on this ride? 5 tickets? How much is 5 tickets? Well, 1 ticket is $5. 10 tickets, $20. 5 tickets, $40. Figure that out.
100 tickets, $6.
It's just like, oh, the tickets are a lot. Yeah, you can get a wristband for $10, and that's all the rides. What? Who put this together? Where did any of this come from?
That's carny math.
And I honestly think we're all just as a society, we know that this dog is very old and is not going to be with us much longer. So we're not like, I was at this carnival recently. They've got like NASCAR, like actual NASCAR stuff. And you're like, I bet you NASCAR is just looking at like a traveling car. Like, I'm not going to run down a traveling carnival for using my licensed stuff. Like, what is the point? One of the rides had I kid you not, had like a Mickey Mouse and a SpongeBob, like on the same kind of like train.
Right.
And I feel like we're all just like, yeah, it's not legal, but, you know.
But nothing here is.
It's the carnival.
We're all on probation anyway. What's another felony?
We're all like, you know.
They're like, it's white collar crime, which is kind of a step up.
You're like, well, you know, if I'm dropping my kids off at like a church preschool or the gym, like childcare, I want to make sure everyone's background check. We're doing the thing. Like, carnival, you guys go run around. People that work here, I'm sure they are fine. I'm sure it's fine.
Just meet me at midnight.
Meet me at midnight. You know, check in. Mm-hmm. Everything's fine at the carnival.
Unrelated, I meant to tell you this story the other day. It was like weeks ago. But I saw... You remember you told me the story about like the dead animal in your driveway?
Yeah.
That like you cleaned it up before anybody noticed it?
Yeah.
I was on the sidewalk outside my house,
mm-hmm.
and there was like a bird wing, and then like a couple feet away was like a bird foot.
Oh, gross.
Right. And so my Mother's Day gift to my wife was to not tell her about it.
Yeah.
That was I didn't do anything nice for her. My gift was to not tell her.
All the stuff you didn't experience
right.
on Mother's Day.
I've done this before.
That's the gift.
There was a dead a horseshoe crab at the beach, and I told her she saw it. And she's like, she just immediately gets sad.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I don't feel empathy
For horseshoe
for
crabs
a
specifically.
dead horseshoe crab. And I was like, no, that's a possum horseshoe crab. And she was like, what? I said, yeah, it just plays dead. It'll when we leave, it'll come back to life.
It'll be back.
And she's a smart individual, and she
Really
believed
smart.
it. Like her emotional moment, like her emotions in that moment, I think led her to believe me. And that was my gift to her.
Is there any bigger jump than if you were to say, I came upon, the other day I was walking around, I came upon a dead horse. Shoe crab. Because dead horse, you're like, oh gosh, what a big, beautiful animal. Horseshoe crab.
You know what's funny is that
How did
I saw what I thought was a dead horse. It was a while back. We like pulled up to this farm, and this horse is just laying down in the field, and like horses don't lay down. They don't do that.
Right.
That's dead. And I was like, and my first thought was like the logistics of that, of handling that issue.
Yeah.
You can't haul the horse off at once.
Right.
You gotta cut it into pieces, right? In front of the kids.
Did you know that it was dead?
No, it actually turns out it was not dead. It was alive. It was sleeping.
Because they sleep they sleep real dead like.
Yeah, I thought, and I didn't know it was in the middle of the field. I thought they slept in their little horse bed.
Right.
In the horse hotel. I don't know. I didn't grow up on a farm.
No, and I'm regularly alarmed at how little I know about how any animal like actually functions.
Right, but especially the big ones.
The big ones especially. Or like size and scale, right? Like I don't know the last time you were next to a live cow.
It's been a minute.
But you walk around, I walk around and I'm like, cows, man, I don't know what is a cow. What is that thing? And you're next to it and you're like, this is the size of a rhino.
I think I've never been next to a rhino.
Which shows you how I've never been next to a rhino. But like they're huge. They're huge creatures. You're like, cows. The spot, I dress up like one, I go to Chick-fil-A, they give me food. Cows are big. Cows are big. If you take nothing else away from this podcast. No, I know alarmingly little about animal care and agriculture, and you think like, what, did you grow up on a farm? But you're like, also like, I feel like basic. You were with me a lot through I had a rat in my attic, probably more than one, but even that, I'm like, what do I do? Do I have to wrestle it? What do I do? Bend it. Come here. Yeah, I got no idea. I'm useless. I do frequently remove turtles from the street. I have a retention pond in my backyard.
You gotta do that. I almost got killed doing that once, but worth it.
Why? You need to stay out of roads. You need to be a strictly sidewalk, and even
that's where I got.
That's the trouble. Where the sidewalk meets the road. You gotta go another way. You gotta just not cross cement.
Don't like the way you said that. So anyway, I didn't tell my wife about the dismembered animal.
Now she knows.
I shouldn't listen to the podcast.
This is the one.
But I did leave it for my kids to find because they gotta learn.
That's fun. That's fun for kids.
Like a little Easter egg hunt.
Well, like a snake skin or something.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
A bloody crowfoot.
This exact same thing. Are you at all curious what did this to this bird?
I don't want to know. I think it was another bird.
Oh, there's a bird fight.
There's a gang situation.
Birds be nasty like that, though. One time we were looking up at this.
That's gonna be our clip. That's the one.
One time we were looking up at this owl because there was like an owl in our neighborhood. We were on a night walk. I'm like, what? You know how often you see an owl or whatever? Yeah. These two, I think, like crows, just ran it right out of the tree. It's like, and they're like aerially like being nasty to this owl. Like, y'all are not kind.
It makes you wonder why they call like the military fighting. They call it a dog fight.
A dog fight
should be a crow fight.
Yeah, dog fights happen on the ground typically.
You do know things about animals.
Fun fact: Tim and I broke up a dog fight.
Oh boy.
Another story for another time. Today we are going to read the Bible together, friends. We're still in the book of Genesis. We call this part of the Bible's Funny podcast Cheat Day Devos. Mm-hmm. Because what we do here is we read the Bible together. We giggle, we chat, we discuss. What we don't do is, deep theological discussions. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping that if that's your aim, that you're doing that, 6 days out of the week.
Do it on your own time, pal.
No, it's not our posture. We say, that's great that you're doing that. We don't do it here. We're not qualified to do it. We read the Bible together, and it's fun.
Yeah, we don't do it here now. I mean, every other day. We're like...
Every other day.
Focused, and...
We're not doing that podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
We're deep thinkers.
We're diving in. We're going deep. And over our head is where we want to be. Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Okay.
So cheat day devos. That's what we do here. The other days you're getting your Hebrew, words unpacked for you. Here we're hanging out. We are in the Bible. You know what I mean? That's why it's called like a cheat day. Because a cheat day meal, you're technically eating food. It's just not like
good for you.
Good for you food. Cheat day devos. We're going through the Bible very slowly. Genesis 32 is where we are today. Tim, you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Following Jacob still. This is where we're at. Jacob also went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So he named that place Mahanaim.
Which, afterward, you'd be surprised, I just kept saying... Say my name, say my name.
Say my name.
No one is around you. Say, baby, I love you.
Say my name. Gosh, that works perfect.
I know. That's, again, now it's going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the day and maybe the rest of your life.
What is up with this? Come clean. Who you with? Now it's going to be taken off YouTube, I think, because we don't have the rights to that song.
But if we sing off-key enough, they won't be able to pick it up.
You don't recognize that as any kind of song. That's verse 1 and 2. Verse 3, Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir. Again, I feel like we should catch people up on the story quickly. Jacob has just left Laban. He served with Laban. He served Laban for 14 years.
His father-in-law.
He married both of his daughters. He left with his granddaughters. He threw a big fit about leaving. He kind of tried to do it all secretly because he was afraid of Laban, and Laban was like, "Can I say bye to my grandkids, please?" And then they left. So Jacob's on his way. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. He instructed them, "This is what you're to say to my lord Esau. Your servant Jacob says, I've been staying with Laban and have remained there till now. I have cattle and donkeys, sheep and goats, male and female servants. Now I am sending this message to you, my lord, that I may find favor in your eyes." This is his kind of like message to Esau. Again, diehard listeners will remember Jacob and Esau left on bad terms because Jacob stole the birthright from Esau and got a blessing that was meant for Esau.
Right. So the message version of this is basically like, so we cool, right?
We aight?
That's if I wrote the message Bible.
Yeah. Right.
He's saying we cool.
We cool? I like the up to the minuteness of this. Where he's like, send this message to Esau. I've been staying with Laban and have remained there till now. I have cattle and donkeys and sheep and goats and male and female servants. And now I'm sending this message to you. It's like when someone asks, like, what have you been up to today? And you go right up to this minute. Well, I woke up and I had breakfast. I took care of the dog and I wanted to say, now I'm sitting here recording a podcast. Well, I knew that. I knew that part. I knew you were sending a message. I'm receiving a message from you. You don't have to like
recap the whole thing.
Or how do you feel when people are like, well, I woke up and they do that with their recap?
Yeah, that's how you know your day is really exciting.
I know you woke up. I know that part.
That's one of the events of your day. Congratulations, your story is already boring.
When the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, we went to your brother Esau, and now he's coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's cool.
Side note.
That brother you said was going to kill you, I think he's just going to stop by with like 400 of his like kind of big tough friends.
Bringing his buddies.
Yeah, he seemed pretty chill though.
This is how he responded to your we cool message. Verse 7, in great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into 2 groups, and the flocks and herds and camels as well. He thought, if Esau comes and attacks one group, the group that is left may escape.
Yeah, what I love about that is that it's like, it's the same, it's this backward thinking mindset of the guys in his family. And he's like, okay, so we split up, honey, okay? You take the kids and go in that group.
Right.
I'm going to go in this group.
Right.
And that way, inevitably, when Esau comes and destroys one of the groups, one of us will live.
Right.
And his wife is going, but so that means inevitably one of us will die in this plan.
Right.
Yeah.
This is how it always plays out. And it's not even like, some of the logic, I guess, is kind of there. Like even with the Abraham stuff we talked about. But it's always like, the plan is not fully baked. Like, what is the...
Right. It's like, well, I'm gonna hide half of my money in my sock drawer, and the other half is gonna be in my underwear drawer. That way, when they come in to rob my house,
they'll be like, well, I got all the money because I saw it was in the sock drawer. They'll probably leave. They'll be so glad. They'll be so thankful.
What if they take the whole dresser? Or what if they just look in both drawers?
Right. There's so many versions. One, there are 2 things that are like repeating in these stories. 1, the plan's not great. And 2, you're kind of like afraid of everybody. You're just afraid of everybody. Now this one, he's got some good reason. We know that we left Esau and he was not pleased.
Right.
But everybody's afraid. Everyone's like, oh, Laban's going to try to keep me here forever. And like, no, I'm just trying to say bye to my grandkids. Like, this is repeatedly like, I thought you were going to take my wife and kill me and burn me at the stake and eat my flesh. And what? No, I had no intention of doing any of that. Why did you assume that? That's a weird assumption, Abraham. That I wasn't going to do that to you. So anyway, here we are again. Esau's, probably he's bringing his 400 guys, probably going to fight me. So let's split up. Yeah, definitely a quick way to know, though, to your point, who's Jacob's favorite. So he's like, okay, so one of these groups might die, so let's just put me and then my favorite wife and a couple of these kids I'm going to pick, and you guys just go over there in that group. It's balanced. It's even. We're just trying to even everything out.
Leah, why don't you go in that group?
Leah,
you're a strong leader. I mean, you're weak guys, but have somebody else just show you around. But your decision making, that's what you're here for.
We're gonna put you guys to the front, and if you could just hold these signs that say, we're over here. Don't worry about it.
Just hold these big circles with the little circles inside. The little
circle in the middle. Then Jacob prayed, O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you who said to me, go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper. I'm unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you've shown your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I have become 2 camps. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, and also the mothers with their children.
Just a side note, also, the people I love.
Now, I put a little bit of emphasis on that, but if you read Genesis 32:11, that is how it reads. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me. And also the mothers and the kids. I guess they're not like in a good spot.
It's in the Bible. It's there.
Me, remember, will be attacked. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper and will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted. He spent the night there, and from what he had with him, he selected a gift for his brother Esau, 200 female goats and 20 male goats. 200 ewes, female sheep.
Yeah, I know.
And 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, and 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. He put them in the care of his servants, each herd by itself, and said to his servants, go ahead of me and keep some space between the herds. He instructed the one in the lead, when my brother Esau meets you and asks, who do you belong to, and where are you going, and who owns all these animals in front of you? Then you are to say, they belong to your servant Jacob. They are a gift sent to my lord Esau, and he's coming behind us.
I like that the assumption there, like, assuming he doesn't murder you in your tracks as you're taking all these animals.
Sure.
He might do that, but if he doesn't do that, then, tell him this.
Right. And tell him this to these, 3 very specific questions I feel like he's going to ask you.
Right.
Who do you belong to? Where are you going? Who owns all these animals in front of you?
I wonder if Jacob was like, yeah, just say you're with me. That'll go over really well. Oh, you know what? Better yet, tell him you're my sister. That's what Dad would have done.
That's good.
That's a Bible joke.
That's good. It's what Dad and Grandpa both would have done, actually. When my brother Esau meets you and asks, who do you belong to and where you're going? Who owns all these animals in front of you? Which is such an assumption that he's gonna grill you with questions the second he sees you. But he gives them the advice. Then you're to say, belong to your servant Jacob and their gift. Who doesn't like a gift, you know? It's not a bad strategy to say, like, I'm gonna bring a gift.
I wonder, too, if that was, like, kind of a commonplace thing to do. Like, if I was telling you, like, hey, when you go across the street, you're going to talk to, like, the neighbor that you've never met before.
Right.
When he says, hey, how you doing? You're going to say, doing fine, how are you? And then when he says that, then you're going to say, weather's looking pretty good, huh? Like, this is just a normal conversation.
Yeah.
Who are you? What are you doing?
Right.
What are those goats?
Again, I always go back to the lack of entertainment at this point. So I feel like small talk was at an all-time high.
Oh, yeah.
You're walking in the desert or something. You've been stuck with the people you're with forever. Somebody walks up. Hey, what's your life story, bro? Where are you from? Tell me, what's your favorite thing about, what are your dreams? Please talk to me. Please talk to me. I would love to talk. This is verse 19. He also instructed the second and third and all the others who followed the herds. You're to say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And be sure to say, your servant Jacob is coming behind us. For he thought, I will pacify him with these gifts I am sending on ahead. Later, when I see him, perhaps he will receive me. So Jacob's gifts went on ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. Again, I'm not, like, last time we were fighting, I thought I might bring a little peace offer. You know, this is not a weird thought. But I do feel like when you play it out in your head, again, this is where with this family, sometimes I have these questions. Abraham, okay, say you're my sister, because then he'll take you, but they won't kill me. End of plan. Jacob, so last time I saw Esau, he was like going to kill me. I'm thinking I sent a bunch of goats. Where are we at then? Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know if you're like, yeah. Wait, who's it? These are goats?
Thanks.
For me? Sheep. Put my sword away. Goats, man. How about that?
What a guy.
Like, is that... Like, again, I just think if you're like...
Well, if it's me in that situation, I'm sending the goats and donkeys and all the male camels and the female camels.
Yeah.
And then instead of walking behind them, I'm going that direction.
Right. That plan makes sense.
Right. This is sort of a distraction.
Right.
What am I going to, like, at the very least, like, what am I going to do with all these goats now?
Right.
I got my hands are full. I have to put my knife away.
Goats in your pocket.
I only have 400 guys here. I got 8,000 livestock.
Right.
Jacob ran the other way.
Diversion makes sense.
Right.
But to have the full stated plan be, guys, I know you're worried he's going to kill us.
Yeah, these Bible people are not...
I got an idea.
Best thinkers?
I'm going to give you some goats. And then, I tell you what, he's probably getting big hugs when he sees us. Because of the goats, guys, maybe in the back you didn't hear me. They're goats. Male and female goats.
There were no male camels, though. I made a note of that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he said female camel.
30 female camels with their young.
Didn't mention anything about male camels.
That's it.
No, this plan. Okay, so that idea that like he is gonna just send some gifts and then follow up with them. Like his brother was going to kill him. He stole his birthright.
Right.
He did him bad.
Right.
Like real bad.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, maybe he forgot about it. I'll just follow up with here's some cattle. Like one of my favorite stories about my childhood was I'm 10 years younger than my brother, and when I was like 8, I was little, and my brother's like a big like wrestler in high school. After church one day, we're in our church clothes. We walk by the pool, and I don't know what got in me, but I just pushed him in the pool.
Oh yeah.
Like he's wearing all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I promise you, before he even got out of the pool, I had run up into my room and was staring at the window, like locked the door and was just peering out, going like, "What did I just do? What did I just do? He's gonna kill me." So this, and I didn't do. It wasn't that bad, but I was like, he is going to kill me. I'm running the other way. Not gonna follow up with him later and be like, I know I pushed you in the pool. Here's our dog. Like, forgive me, huh?
Laid out a trail of like baseball cards
right
to your room to go. Those are for me.
No.
Gift.
So Jacob's mentality here of like, I'll just give him some goats and then he'll forget that he wants to kill me.
Right.
No, he can take the goats then and still kill you.
Right.
This is an option.
Right. I have to say the only word I can think in Jacob's defense is it is better than his mom's plan, which was, well, Esau will forget at some point. Right. That was her stated plan. Send Jacob away, and then at some point Esau will be like, who remembers what they ate last Tuesday, right? I mean, you can't find how long you're going to remember. Again, there's not much going on. You're going to remember. He was never going to forget.
Okay. You know how dumb and hairy he is.
The goats
forgets everything.
The goats were the better of those two options. Verse 22. That night Jacob got up. This is a very famous story. That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. Mm-hmm. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak.
Well, in this moment, so he sends over all of his stuff.
Yeah.
Like he sends his stuff.
Right.
Or he sends his wives and his kids first. And then he sends his stuff. This is all across the river. And then he's going to go. And I get the feeling he was like, well, I'm going to send my wife and kids first. We'll see if they make it.
Very much.
If they don't, I still have my stuff.
It's him and his stuff. And then it's just him. And again, it's just like in dangerous situations, I'm not sure of the logic, right? We're pulling up into Egypt. Might be risky. So I'm going to like my wife, if she's got to go, she's got to go. Like, here you go. Here you are again. Dangerous situation. I don't know. He's coming up 400 guys. I don't know how this is going to go. Why don't you guys go up there? I'll hang back. So I have to like cross the river to get over here. I can't track with the logic. You know what I mean?
Again, these characters I don't think make smart decisions.
Not when they're scared, certainly. And I think maybe what it is a bit of a misunderstanding of women and children first. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, women and children first. So you guys
here you go.
You go up. You go out there.
Why don't you tell me how deep that river is?
And, okay. Following the rules. So he sends him out first, verse 24. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. I would like to read this story just in the sequential verses. Mm-hmm. Jacob's left alone, a man wrestled with him till daybreak. I'm going to read it exactly as is. Mm-hmm. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it's daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go, unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask me my name?" Then he blessed him there. And that is the whole story. And when I took it in...
I like the way you read it there. That's smart.
People, because you're like the story of Jacob wrestling with God. If you grew up in Sunday school or whatever, this kind of like, you've been presented this lesson at some point via flannel graph or some other method. But when you read it, you're really just like, if you were to say, guess what happens next, you'd be wrong every time. Jacob's by himself. What do you think happens next? There's nobody around him. I don't know. Maybe he gets a good night of sleep. Nope. He gets in a wrestling match. Oh, okay. Well, I guess...
Just with a dude.
Either he wins or the other guy wins. Nope. It's kind of a tie. Okay. Do you know this fella? Nope. But the guy wrenches his hip. His hip's forever, like, wrenched. Oh, I guess I wouldn't have known how that, that would have happened. And then Jacob's name gets changed. What? What? You never know what's going to happen next in this set of 6 verses. It's an adventure. And I love that for us. I love it.
Yeah, the idea of just just getting, like, how prominent were wrestling matches? Was that how you greeted each other, like a stranger back in the day? Because there's not like a, hey, how you doing? Like, you feel like you want to at least meet the person or understand what your quarrel was about first. We're just introduced to him. He's wrestling.
Yes.
That's what and that's not unusual, evidently.
Yeah. Right.
Wait.
The fact that the last set of things in the story is like, hey, what's your name, man? You just engaged? If you try to wrestle me, stranger tries to wrestle me, I'm trying to create distance, and then I'm going to go like, can we talk about this?
So the next verse is, the sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of a fan theory about this. And it's of course blasphemous. So let's start there.
Okay.
I'm not rewriting the Bible. Again, this is just like a fan theory.
It's a fan fiction. It's not canon.
No, not yet. If you want to call the Pope, see what we can get in there.
Pope.
Jacob sends here's my theory. Jacob sends his wives and kids across the river on their own, keeps the stuff with him just in case. Then he's there on that side of the river all by himself.
Yeah.
He falls, does something stupid, and hurts his hip. Like, in the week before, his wives were like, hey, you gotta be careful. You're not a young 60-year-old anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
But he doesn't listen, because we don't. He still does the dumb thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to, like, pick up a boulder to see if he can just move it. And then he slips on rock. He tried to throw it.
He does love rocks.
I hurt my hip, he thinks. But then, what am I going to tell my wives? Because they just yelled at me last week for doing dumb things.
Sure.
I'll tell them I wrestled with God. And they can't argue with that. And then I'll tell my one, no, that's crazy. Tell them I tied. And then my hip hurts because God poked me there.
Right.
But then I'll be like, but man, you should have seen the other guy.
Right.
And that's how I save face with my wives.
Right, because they were both on you about your hip.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, we don't want to be dragging your butt across the desert. You gotta take care of yourself. He knows they're gonna be pissed.
I think, and honestly, the story's just it's a fan fiction, like you said.
But tell me that's not radical.
I feel like the story's just too I don't credit Jacob with this kind of creativity. This is the guy who walked in to pretend to be Esau, and his opening line was, "Hi, I'm Esau." I don't credit him with the creativity.
Right,
I think that's why I have it.
I agree, but the other option was he got in a wrestling match with God and he tied. So that's more believable than he did something dumb like slipped on a rock and then made up a story to cover it.
I've always kind of thought, when I think of this story, of because we're both dads, and you have that reserved energy that you wrestle with your kids, where you're like, I'm not really trying to hurt you, but then sometimes your kid does something that you act like. For me, one time I remember distinctly, I got caught in the nose, and your nose is like, I don't care how big you are, how much bigger you are, if you get bopped in the nose, it's like your sinuses, right? So you have this moment of okay, this is what we're doing now. And then you gotta quickly remember, obviously the kid's 7 years old. That's the energy I got from this story of hey, Jacob just wanted to talk. Oh, you want to wrestle? Okay. This is fun wrestling, I guess. I was just going to talk to you about this thing with Esau. I thought it was funny. Hey, man, okay, let's really talk. And then it's seriously, let me go. In the hip.
Poke him in the hip.
And he's like, oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, okay.
This is the first instance of a chiropractor being mentioned in the Bible. It's the hip adjustment.
The hip adjustment. I like... the name change too. Name changes in the Bible are just I feel not discussed enough. But you've all heard of Israel. We've all, that's a guy's name, and that his name was originally Jacob. It's just wild. It's just wild.
You
little
just flip it.
People don't know.
And just like a little light switch.
And it's never I say never. Abraham gets a name change, and it's very subtle. You were Abram, now you're Abraham. You were Sarai, now you're Sarah. Okay, great. This one's not like you were Jake, but let's do the formal Jacob from now on. This is like you were Jacob. Now you are Israel. It's like, oh gosh, that starts with a different letter. I gotta like all my monogram stuff has to change.
My towels have to be
like everything's that's a fundamentally different name. When you were changing other people's names, very slight. Like even like you're going to like airport security and you're like, yeah, I got the wrong on my license. It's probably fine.
Let you go. Yeah.
But this one is like, yeah, you're clearly not Israel. It says Jacob on here. I know. It was a name change.
So I was wrestling with God.
Am I
right?
I was goofing around
believe me, right?
with God. Got a little serious with me.
One thing to note in here when he said, "Let me go for it's daybreak," and then Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me."
Yeah.
In the original Hebrew, it translates to "say uncle."
This is your message translation
Yeah.
again. You're working on. Say uncle. This is funny, too, because, again, often interpreted, the man here that he's wrestling with is God. Which, in 27, the man asks, what's your name? So it's like nobody knows anybody here. These are just two guys.
You should have led with that, buddy.
Started
wrestling.
The one wants to be blessed. I don't even know who you are, dude. And then it's like, what's your name? Guy says, Jacob says, Jacob. And the guy's like, no, it's not.
The heck it is.
Tell me your name one more time. What was your name?
Jacob.
No, it's not. Not anymore. Okay.
No, it's real. It's real.
So Jacob calls that place Peniel, saying it's because I saw God face to face and yet my life was spared. Sun rose above him as he passed Peniel and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. There are things
that's real. Sorry, yeah.
I bet it is. But also I feel like this one's not like a big sacrifice, I want to say. As much as we all love eating tendons. This one was kind of like, I bet you there were things that were hard to pitch, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Conceptually speaking. Like, we're not going to eat, pork was like, oh man, it's really tasty though. That's tough to lose. Mm-hmm. And this one, they're like, there's this one like tendon in there.
Yeah, the one they usually floss with. Can't eat it anymore.
Oh, okay. I guess. Genesis 33. Jacob looked up, and there was Esau, coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two female servants. He put the female servants and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. Again, the rank order of like women and children.
But he went in front of him. At least this time.
He himself went on ahead. Yeah. But he also, like, his female servants and their children, Leah and her children, Rachel. You know who's the favorite. You're just like, oh, man, if this goes south, it's going south for us fast. Esau ran to meet Jacob and
killed him.
Embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and he kissed him and they wept. Because in this family, when we kiss, we weep.
If you ain't weeping, you ain't trying.
If you ain't weeping, you ain't kissing. And Esau looked up and saw, I mean, just that moment again, we kind of hinted at earlier in the pod, but it's like, he's going to kill me for sure. And it's like, no, Esau, like, just developed like a normal human and was like, time's gone on. I got kids now.
He grew up.
I'm not really that worried about it. But you're clearly very worried about it still. So thank you for the goats. Yeah, he talks about that later. So Esau looks up and he sees the women and the children. Who are these with you? He asked. Jacob answered, they are the children God has graciously given your servant. Then the female servants and their children approached and bowed down. Next, Leah and her children came and bowed down. Last of all, Joseph and Rachel, and they too bowed down. Esau asked, what's the meaning of all these flocks and herds I met? To find favor in your eyes, my lord. This is something
did they not tell you? That's their whole job was to tell you their meaning and why they were here.
They didn't tell you what the flocks were for?
Get some... What the flocks are these for? That's direct translation.
And the herds I met. You haven't heard?
Look at these puns. We're so good.
He was so funny. That's a great bit though. That's funny. I gave him one job. It was to tell you explicitly what they were for.
I told you what he was going to ask you. I didn't write it down. We don't have paper invented yet.
Okay, Esau, sidebar. This is like a staffing issue. Like, are you saying like, hey, what's this about? Like, is that more like that? Or did they really not tell you? Because this is like a staff performance issue. If they literally didn't tell you, I have to bring that up. In their quarterly review. So far, you've been doing great with the herds. I did ask you to do that one very specific thing you didn't do.
Right, to like save my life and the life of my family and the kids.
So that was kind of a big one that you missed on this quarter. But, I'm going to mark you. We're going to a little performance and improvement plan. We're going to get you back on track.
And you get your Christmas bonus.
That's what they say.
Christmas also hasn't been invented yet.
What's the meaning of... I did want to say this at the risk of almost pointing out something semi-serious. You think about the character of Joseph in the Bible, and he's present in this scene, and he's like a participant in this Jacob and Esau reunification, brothers reuniting even though they were mad at each other. Mm-hmm. I thought that was interesting. A little bit of a teaser for the Joseph story we'll get to later. But again, don't want to get too serious here when we address the Bible, because that's not what you're here for. But I thought that was interesting. Esau asked, what's the meaning of all these flocks and to find favor in your eyes? But Esau said, I already have plenty, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. Again, Esau just couldn't be a better bro now.
Yeah.
Just a solid guy. I don't even want that. You keep it. I already got donkeys to feed, man.
I got all the fur I need on my arms.
There's got to be a point at which you really don't want more livestock. Like, I get that livestock was like a thing back then, but your capacity is only so high where you're like, you got to feed those things. Somebody's got to take care of them.
Yeah, that's how I felt about my kids. Like, I don't need more. You do have to feed them.
Right.
At some point, they become a burden. Not now. Mm-hmm. They're not. They're lovely.
A gift.
Mm-hmm. That's why they call them the present.
Quivers in your bow. No, please, said Jacob. If I have found favor in your eyes, accept this gift from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God. Now that you have received me favorably. That's a lot. Like, that's... The goats were one thing, but I already hugged you, bro. Like, this is... Seeing the face of God.
But also, I just saw God. I wrestle him. And you kind of looked alike.
Okay, there's your, like, dark theory. It was Esau that snuck up on him. That's funny. Face of God, you look remarkably like this guy.
No, it couldn't have been me. That guy had a mustache.
That's funny. Please accept this present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need. And because Jacob insisted, Esau accepted it. Then Esau said, let us be on your way. I'll accompany you. But Jacob said to him, my Lord knows that the children are tender, and that I must care for the ewes and cows that are nursing their young. He got the kids first in the order this time. So that's a positive change he's already made. If they are driven hard just one day, all the animals will die. So let my Lord go on ahead of his servant while I move along slowly at the pace of the flocks and herds before me and the pace of the children until I come to my Lord in Seir. Esau said, then let me leave some of my men with you. But why do that? Jacob asked. Just let me find favor in the eyes of my Lord. Esau said, let me leave some of my men with you. And Jacob was like, but then I got to feed them. It's so much to feed these critters. Jacob lies, and I just don't think he's a good liar. And I think in my reading of this, he doesn't want to walk with Esau. He wants to give Esau the gifts. He wants things to be cool. Mm-hmm. And then Esau's like, oh, this is so great. We're friends again. Let's walk together. Let's just do this. We're going the same direction. Let's hang out together. And Jacob's like, yeah, you know how kids are.
Yeah, I think Jacob's probably a little scared of him still.
Yeah.
Of course, he's a big hairy dude.
Yeah, right.
But he's probably like really awkward in general. Like, what am I going to talk to him about?
Right. It's just clearly you don't want this interaction.
Esau's got 400 friends. I only got these kids. I got two weird white ones. Just his weak eyes.
And kids, he means female.
What am I going to talk about?
He means baby goats.
I'm going to talk about my wife's weak eyes the whole walk back.
It's not much content to go through. I just think it's funny. It's also funny to me. Jacob's like all worried Esau's this like terrible guy and is gonna like kill him and get revenge and kill all his children. Like really thought this was like an awful, awful guy. And then when we get down to it, Esau's super nice, gives him hugs, doesn't want any of his gifts, and then is like, "Let's walk together." And Jacob's like, we don't. Maybe we don't walk together. It'd be okay. Like you're the weirdo. You're the guy who's not cool in this scene. He's trying to be nice to you.
Right. It's like Jacob's like an IT guy. Just doesn't know how to talk to people. Kind of weak.
This is the line.
No offense.
And to IT guys.
Or Jacob, if you're listening.
Israel. The line that gets, I could be dead wrong about that. Obviously, like to note, there's things we kind of observe, there's things we're reading into it. I could be dead wrong.
I'd like to push back. There's no way we're wrong on any of this.
This absolutely, we're likely wrong about all of it. But in 13, this is the line that gets me. If they're driven hard just one day, all the animals will die.
Yeah, like they're not the wild animals you're used to. Okay, you're used to this wild game that can just run for days. These these.
They're just so
they can't take the
one
heat.
day. They're very fragile.
It's not me. It's them. They can't.
I want to walk with you.
I'm ready to. I could run. I made my hip though. I can't. Do you hear it? I wrestled with God before. I can't.
Driven hard just one day, all the animals will die. All right, man. If you don't want to walk together, that's fine. That's just like a dramatic. A minute ago, I was the face of God, and now I'm just trying to like hang for a second, and you're telling me all your animals will die if we walk together. So it's cool, man. Like whatever. So then Esau says, "Let me leave some men with you." But why do that? Jacob asks. That's a great response. Just let me find favor in the eyes of my Lord. So that day Esau started on his way back to Seir. Jacob, however, went to Succoth, where he built a place for himself and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place is called Succoth.
Oh, I pronounce sucketh. This place sucketh.
One of the kids was like, "This place sucks." That's not how we talk right now.
This is weird talking. King James version today.
You're right, Dad.
Son.
This place sucketh. After Jacob came from Padan Aram, he arrived safely at the city of Shechem in Canaan and camped within sight of the city. For 100 pieces of silver, he bought from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, the plot of ground where he pitched his tent. There he set up an altar, and he called it El Elohi Israel.
So the story ends with a real estate deal.
100 pieces of silver. I wish I knew what the Zillow listing was so I could see how he did. Did he get above or below? All right, Tim, what'd you learn today?
I learned that anything I do dumb, I'm going to blame it on a fight with God. Just anything I screw up. So the other day I was cooking bacon, and then I poured the hot bacon grease in a cup to cool it off, a glass cup to cool it off. And then the cup exploded, remarkably. In my story, I saw my countertop and blessed it with the oil of pig. And then God saw my countertop and he decided to bless it with oil of pig.
Yeah.
And then
right.
And so we shall forever call this kitchen L'chamshef, which means anointed by pork.
Which I think all of it is so wrong on so many levels because
What?
I think you're using like Hebrew sounding language to talk about pork spilling everywhere and blaming stuff on God. But you learned something, and I guess that's what's important. I learned that cows are big. Cows are big.
Yeah.
And so maybe not a great gift for somebody. Maybe they don't want your cows. It's a big responsibility, and it's a big animal to tend to. So, just think about gifts before you give them.
Yeah,
if it's a lot of work post-giving of the gift, that's not always nice.
Yeah, just give him a puppy for Christmas, not a bovine.
Puppies are a lot of them are small. There are large breed dogs. So do some research on that too. I'm just saying, consider those gifts before you give them. That was Genesis chapter 32 and 33. We did it. You did it. We did our cheat day devos together.
You did it.
Use. Thanks so much for following along. Did we miss anything from these chapters?
I can't imagine we got anything wrong.
Let us know.
First of all. So the only chance is we missed something. Everything was accurate. Maybe not
obviously
complete.
accurate. Let us know what you think. Message us at The Bible is Funny on Instagram and TikTok, and we would love to hear from you. And, keep on keeping on. Back to your 6 days of deep theological research through the ancient texts in your serious growth, spiritual growth.
Everybody get your scroll on.
Get your scroll. Not like social media.
No. The Dead Sea Scrolls.
People all the time are like, how much time do you spend scrolling today? And I'm like, all of it. It's so dumb. That's really dumb and bad.
But that's on par for this particular episode.
That's what we do here.
This day was special. We did a lot of really dumb jokes, and for that, I apologize. Anthony, that's what we know we're going to get out of them.
You've got to scroll. All right. We love you. We'll be back here for Cheat Day Devos again soon. Bye.
Later.
The Bible is for